Shivi Forensic, and it is an honor to be your host today. On behalf of Shivi Forensics, I extend a warm welcome to each one of you. Today, we are privileged to have with us Dr. Monalisa Javral ma'am to enlighten us on incredibly important topic, framing the evidence, the art and science of crime scene photography. Ma'am is an accomplished dental surgeon and forensic odontologist. Ma'am has completed her graduation in dentistry from GDC Mumbai and masters in forensic odontology from NFSU. She has also taken training sessions from Assam Police Force for crime scene investigation. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us today. Also, participants, you all are encouraged to engage actively throughout the session and address your queries via chat box. Now, let's start the session. Thank you.
So, good evening, guys. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, maybe one of you can. Okay, nice. So, thank you for such a warm introduction. So, I'd like to start with this session. I'll just share my screen. If someone can just tell me if you can see the slide.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, nice. So if you want me to stop, you can just tell me. I'll just stop whenever if you're not audible or if the slides are not changing. Okay, so today we'll be exploring the art and science of crime scene photography. Right. So here we are going to uncover the powerful forensic story that supports investigation court proceedings So first scene. Okay, pictures.
For investigation purpose.
Guys, come on! I want this to be. No. That like apart from forensics, I'm asking. Why do we take pictures? Like to post it on Insta, right?
Reconstruction.
To post on Snapchat. Yeah. So I take pictures to keep memories. So later when I see through those pictures, I feel nostalgic on that. Okay. But when it comes to forensics, photographing a crime scene is not just documentation. Okay. It's also preservation. It freezes a moment in time that can never be replicated again. So it is going to create a visual record and it is going to store it permanently. From transient evidences like blood spatter or body positions to spatial relationship between different evidences, the photographs will be serving as permanent records. So they are going to support investigations in legal arguments. They are going to help in witness memory retrieval and also even in reconstructions long after the scene has been cleared. So after that, these are the principles, very basic principles. There are 9 principles, but we have to follow all of them. So we'll start one by one. First is securing. Securing is no tampering at all. Make sure that whatever first images we are getting, it reflects the undisturbed conditions. Then next one is evaluating the light and environmental conditions because especially when it is an outdoor scene, we can't predict the weather at all. Accordingly. Here we are starting to shoot the scene. So here we'll be going through the bigger picture and then we'll move progressively further. There are 3 types in shooting the scene, but we'll be discussing it later one by one. So here is the photographing the victim. So this is also very important because here we have to look for location, condition and injuries. Here we'll be taking both overall and detailed views of the victims. So after the victims, we progressively move towards photographing the evidence, like taking the images with and without scale. Make sure we get undistorted images. Also, make sure that we are taking images at right angles to the surface on which the evidence lies. And most importantly, We have to take pictures first without scale and later with scale. And after that, make sure that we are taking pictures by placing evidence markers as next is, see, sometimes we have to use special imaging techniques, right? Like when there are latent prints, when there is fluids that we cannot see with naked eyes, at such times we have to use alternate light sources. Oblique lighting can be used when there are footprints or tool marks, and macro lenses are for detailed close-ups. Okay, this is very, very important. We have to work quickly and thoroughly, because especially when it is an outdoor crime scene and it is busy environment, we cannot trust the rain, the snow, the traffic. So at that time, we have to prioritize our documentation. So we have to be thorough with our work. We cannot just sit and wait for someone is going to give us order and then we'll start. No, we have to start taking pictures as soon as we reach the crime scene. Okay, this is also very important. So sometimes we have to move the victim, we have to see what is beneath them, if there are some injuries, of this there's blood below them. So at those times, first we'll be taking the victim position, location, injuries as it is in position, and later on when we move the victim, make sure you take photographs again. Also, for detailed injuries we can use filters, so at those times also we have to re-photograph the evidence. Okay, so the equipments, basic equipments we need in photography, like see, there's a DSLR, there are various lenses, then there's are various types of filters. Okay, these are evidence markers, to my left you can see this is an alternate light source kit. Okay, then there's a memory card, tripod stand, basic notebook for if you want to note down anything. This is an angulometer to take proper angle measurements. Okay, this is a gray card scale. I don't know how many of you know this, but this is used when there's a very bright light in focuses on you, but you can't get a clear picture. So at those times, this gray card scale is used, and a measuring tape, obviously, for measurements. Okay, so now when we capture the image, okay, so to have those usable images, we must understand the camera mechanics. Okay, so first is the shutter speed. What is the shutter speed? It determines the motion blur, कि कितना blur हो रहा है, कि कैसे click किया. So that is the shutter speed. Okay, so faster speeds is going is for the freezes action. Sorry guys. So next is aperture. It is going to control the depth of the field. So lower aperture is suitable when there is more light, and higher aperture is suitable when there is less light. Next is ISO. This is International Standards Organization, and it is related to the sensitivity of the light. So it is same. Higher ISO is used when there is low light, and lower ISO is used when there is more light. So okay, the flash or external lighting, when do we use flash? Okay, so when there is not ambient light, at those times we can use flash. Also, where we use external light sources like the green light or blue light when we have evidences that are not visible to our naked eyes. Then there's depth of the field. Depth refers to the focus, like वो मेन जो है हमारा मेन जो एविडेंस है, हाउ मच हैज टू बी इन फोकस एंड हाउ मच वी हैव टू गिव इट टू द बैकग्राउंड, दैट इज नोन एज द डेप्थ ऑफ द फील्ड. And then there is exposure, that is the brightness of the image. So here you can see this, the left side image was taken at night, and then we didn't get it very clearly because all this area is dark, and now in the daylight this is a very clear image. Okay, so to avoid the overexposure or to underexposure, it is always advisable to use an exposure meter, because a good image is both scientifically accurate and legally admissible, and that's what we want, right? So moving further, okay, so these are various types of crime scene. This is just an introductory part, but we'll be looking into details of them. So here is a picture. This is for comparison purpose. Okay, so this is giving you an overall crime scene. Like most of the area is covered. You can see there is a very giving you spatial relationships between those evidence markers or those evidences that are present. Then the next one is a close-up view. Here you can see two evidence markers, and then there is extreme close-up where there is evidence also and there is evidence marker also. So here I'd like to mention that the medium is establishing context. I hope everyone knows operandi is what the manner of committing a crime. जैसे हर एक criminal का एक तरीका होता है, right? So that is modus operandi. And then close-up view is important for establishing corpus delicti. What is corpus delicti? These are the body of the facts, like the evidences or the blood is there or weapon is there. So all this shows that a crime was committed. So this is important, and while taking close-up views only, we are going to get to it. Okay, so we will start with first overview photography. So overview photography, these are the foundational and these are the basics. We have to start from outside and then we'll be working inside. So overlapping images can be taken so that we get a 360 panoramic sense of space. Here we can document the entrance, the exits, the windows. This is going to help to recreate the scene in context and also in reconstruction later. Okay, so you can see actually this all pictures now I have taken them from the National Forensic Photography Museum. They have a page on Insta as well as on Google. You can check it out. Those are nice pictures, like really nice. This is a mock crime scene. Actually, all those pictures are of mock crime scenes, but you can go through that once after the lecture is over. Okay, next is mid-range photos. So mid-range actually captures the evidence that is in context. For example, see if there is a blood stain on a wall that is related to a weapon on the floor. So we have a picture including both of them, and it is giving a spatial relationship between these both. Okay, so these are some other examples. These are also taken from the same link. Then there is close range photography. So close-ups are for finer details. Okay, so we have to fill the viewfinder. Viewfinder is that aperture in the camera जहाँ से we can see कि what we are going to photograph. Okay, so we have to fill that area that needs to be photographed in the viewfinder. Use scales, evidence markers, a tripod, and make sure that you are taking pictures 90 degrees to the object so we avoid distortion. Okay, because we need images in high resolution and clarity, otherwise they are not going to be admissible in the court and it's not going to help us. Okay, these are some of the images. These are from mock crime scenes only. Okay, there are two methods. First is overlapping method. So overlapping gives a scene-wide perspective with slight overlaps. So what we can do is we can start taking a series of photos and move in a circular or a clockwise direction. And then while combining all those, we'll get the whole view of the room or whole view of the crime scene area with little bit of overlap. 30% overlap is okay while connecting the dots. And next is the progressive. So progressive is from we move from outside to from wider shots to the focus images of the evidences. That's it, and we take the pictures of the evidences. Okay, so this is the so these are 5 angles: fit to head, left side, and straight down from above. So this is going to ensure that we cover all the external features, the injuries, and postures as well. Okay, so this is very important, what to do and what not to do. Okay, now I'll be asking you something. Is what's wrong with these images? Can somebody just tell? Anyone? Okay. Okay, I think.
Right, ma'am.
Okay, right.
In the
This is
part,
very
it is
blurred,
not
right?
enough to just get it.
Okay, yeah, right. So this image is very blurred. And this is not very clear though, right? Okay, here is very inadequate lighting, as she said, right? And this is the very, very blur. I can't even see the evidence marker nicely. So when this is not admissible, this is not going to be admissible at all in the court. They are going to reject your plea there and then. So make sure you use proper lighting. Okay, so when you see here, the oblique lighting is used and we can see the details of this footprint. Also make sure to use your scale. Okay, don't forget. Then this one is the proper angulation. See, proper angulation is important because when we are going to present this images in the court, the people there are not going, they are just going to see the images. They were not on the crime scene. Okay, so the perspective matters, because when you show them the pictures, if you show them this pictures, they are हाँ, if you show them this picture, they are going to assume कि ये ऐसे ही रखा है, इतना ही गैप है यहाँ पे. But no, the angulation was this. Proper angulation needs to be there so the perspective doesn't change. Okay, so now this is very interesting. I hope you guys will be active through it. So we'll be looking into one-on-one crime scenes. ऐसे थोड़े बहुत. Okay. So first is the homicide. Okay, so in such cases, we have to document all the evidences thoroughly, whatever is present there, document everything. Anything and everything can be used as an evidence case. Okay, so document everything. We have to capture the signs of struggle, or if there was a forced entry, then the positions and perspectives of witnesses, if any present, and then surroundings that are relevant to the event. Also, autopsy photograph is very, very important, so we can assist the pathologist by capturing medically significant details. Okay, so there's an example of this case. It's a very famous case. This is the case of Jessica Ridgway that has highlighted how early body synthesis you guys know about this. 10-year-old girl in Colorado, that is USA. So the police used forensic photography to take clear pictures of timeline that linked the at that time, and he was watching some docu series, and then he got inspired through it, and he matching tool marks were critically. So now another one is suicide or unexplained death. So in such cases also we have to document everything thoroughly. But we can, you always have to. So in those cases we have to include body position, surroundings, possible evidence of interference if anything happened. The very famous example of our very favorite actor is late actor Sushant Singh Rajput. So in that case, photography of the crime scene had raised many, many, many questions, as there was play. Then there was so much of political pressure, and were taken properly. Also, there was all this happened because the forensic photographers didn't do the photos, didn't take the photos there. It was, I think, the police officers and the investigative officers. So this, or the chain of custody was maintained or not, what proper scales and angles were used. The photo is still under investigation. They have not. It's under investigation. Okay. So next is burglaries. So your interior of the building, the point of areas that were stolen, if there was any damages done, or any behind some trace evidences that might be left behind by the suspect. I think that will be should be whatever you think that is going to be or the investigation. We have to photograph it. Okay, photographing a soil injury. Have to photograph a have to the mini crime. So photography of the victim, then a mid-range photography, and then a close-up view. Make sure that you use case beside an injury when we are taking degrees to avoid distortion. Okay, so the trace evidences like shoe prints and tire prints. Okay, technical accuracy. Always photograph this range and close-ups. Then plane should be parallel to the surface. We can use or flash so that we get a detailed image. Okay, so this is this right side. This is from a crime scene, and I do know how many of you guys must have this very famous case. Just brief you about it. So later you can check it on Netflix. They have a documentary. Before what happened, and a friend, Ron Gold, and OJ was a very famous perspective. So broadcasted live, like the whole car chase was broadcasted live in US at that time. Also, there was a I think live. Imagine the sensation for this case. Okay, so the trial had lasted for 11 months, and the main evidences that were used were the from the blood stains, a bloody glove and shoe print, and forensic photos from like the different forensic photos from the crime scene. So, but apart from all trial, later in civil case, he was found responsible. So the main thing here is that first this guy OJ Simpson, he denied owing this. People saw him wearing those shoes, and then the photos, and that's how it solved the case. Okay, so that's very important. Here we require multiple overlapping friends. Is going to be very long. We can use a measuring tape to maintain. Okay, now we are going to a little bit of advancement. Okay, so the photogrammetry, what is as the basic idea of photogrammetry is it turns 2D photos into 3D models using a triangular. So when photograph any 2D image or object, there is loss of depth. Okay, so to compensate for this, we take going to help image you can see multiple images. Okay. Application crime scene accident and accident reconstruction cases, then the bullet trajectory, blood spatter, marks, if there is a shoe print or tire print to reconstruct that. Because you have to make a 3D model. See, like most of the cases, in those cases, the photogrammetry this is the photogrammetry. So here we can use regular cameras. This is mostly for the indoor crime scene level. See, many images are taken, and then we save these images in crime. Okay. Next is aerial photography. But people still use it when there are high profile cases. The ones that happened in US, like O.J. Simpson's case, at those time the drones and only there. So first the would be familiar. A medical student was brutally gang raped, which sparked nationwide protests and legal reforms. So the forensic in the bus interior, and then the weapons, the bloodstains, and the injuries as well. So now we know that what cases the victim dies, we don't have anything else. It's are very, very important in presenting court. Really support the and also strengthen the evidence in court by showing the severity and brutality in the assault. Even if those images they were very sensitive, but they helped present and conviction of all the accused. Mark analysis. So two bite mark smash, and this was only possible because proper photography was done of the bite marks that were found on the victim. So okay, this is Bennett Ramsey. Okay, so it involved the murder 6-year-old USA. So her body was found in the basement hours after the ransom note was discovered. So here also forensic photography played a crucial role. Why? So all the photographs that were in the basement of the crime scene, the bonding atoms, the signs of staging, if there were any moved objects, and if there were any head trauma, the strangulation, and the close-ups were taken of the tapes, the cords, and the fibers that were found done. Okay. The contamination was so much because of the family, the police, and the media. So it led to incomplete crime scene photography. This crowded crime scene led to missing or unclear photographic evidence, and that's how very, very important in solving sensitive cases like this. Okay, actually this also is available, I think, on Netflix. It's a docu-series. Entertaining भी है, but it's empathetic भी है. Okay, so there are limitations, right? First, is the photographer's skill. The photographer's he doesn't have a technical knowledge in a dispatch booth case, maintain the contamination there. So there was lack of awareness about lightning, shadows. So in those cases, if the photographer does not next is the camera limitation. All the cameras have some limitations. Okay? No, कितने पैसों का कैमरा ले रहे हो, they have own limitations. Like there might be low resolution, or there might be battery or storage limitations as well. The next is the this images has to be stored as digital data. There is a very high risk of manipulation, and we cannot completely rely on those because file might get corrupted. It might be lost also. Photography. Yes, okay. This is actually the environmental. So we have to make sure that when the lightning is next is the challenge. You have to work quickly and thoroughly. But if there is a shadow, like, but these are like the this will come under photography skills only. So if he doesn't know how to take pictures and he takes pictures with shadows, or if the images are overexposed or underexposed, then we are going to get distorted images. Or if the movement is there and the images is going to be blurred. Okay, and inexperience, right? So whatever we do, it needs to, like, whatever we have to perceive, it takes time, right? We cannot just get sucked. It's not that this. We have to first learn everything. So sometimes the inexperience of a person is not going to give you up to mark photos. So make sure you learn and then only you apply it when it comes to be working in this field. Okay, last but not the least, the ethical and legal aspects. So in India, under the Section 65B of the Indian Evidence Act, or now that we call it as Bharatiya Sakshya Adhinayam, so digital images are admissible only and only if properly authenticated. Okay, so the major points for its qualification should be free. Also, make sure that you keep the negatives in hand or in some code that stressed the need for digital certification. I don't know much of the details, but I think they have made it mandatory, like before presenting the digital certification for that evidence. Have any questions? I'm open.
Tell me about your start, how you choose to be an forensic odontologist.
Oh, sure. Actually, it's history, and then in internship, I found a course. I think I've done my diploma in forensic science from IFS Pune. Okay, so during internship only I did because I used to watch so much of. So it was very engaging. Right? We find a lot of CID when I was a teenager. So interested, but it's very difference and what we can say. So when I actually got in NFSU, hours or 24 hours. No, it doesn't have a lot of time to get it done. So that's anything else? Yeah, welcome. I Okay, if there's your attention, guys, I hope this session has showed how important photography is, because to tell a story that is going to stand up in court, right? So make sure that whatever you see on that completely. Okay, so I think
Thank you, ma'am.
this.
Ma'am,
Okay. See you then. Okay.
ma'am, that can you please
Mhm.
explain about camera filters and lens more?
Okay. See the camera filters and lenses. This is a very vast topic. Okay, so I'll have to take another session if you want, but it's a use like a green and blue light for so, but we have there are many okay guys, thank you so much. It was nice
Thank
to
you,
be here.
ma'am.
Thank you, Shivi Forensics. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much,
much.
ma'am. Event, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to incredibly informative and engaging session. And also thank you for the part of this knowledge sharing experience. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you, everyone.